Alright, back. Sun's coming up. It's gonna be a scorcher today. It was yesterday. God, sir, I clipped my head off. Now, where to start? Lots to share. Lots has happened. Holy shit. A little off topic, but you guys are familiar with the goats. And yesterday our superhero ladies came over. So happy and so fortunate that they came over and I met them. We all share the same bright light, without a doubt, all of us, and they are very bright lights. I'll get to that in a minute. And after they left, we were leaving to go to the store. It's funny, one thing I always tell all our young wranglers up north who go guiding in horse world is it's pretty tough with horses don't miss anything, and you always listen to the horse. Maybe in the past you've seen me making videos with my horses in the background. If they're looking at something, I'm looking. You can tell when something's up with the horse at any time. They don't miss anything. So get this one, you're not going to believe this. So we're literally all the way to the end of the driveway, got onto the dirt road, closed the gate behind us, and I glanced back and my mare was just staring. I just caught it, she's staring. What looked to be towards a chicken coop, the next land over, whatever. I'm looking, I'm like, something's up. I'm looking by the chicken coop, I'm not seeing anything, and then my gelding was up in the other corral and he came running over and stood beside her. Now they're both looking. And I'm like, something's up, something's going on. Sat in the truck for probably another 30, now think of the time. Sat in the truck for probably another 30 seconds watching, looking, and then the chickens were acting weird. Normally there's a bird of prey, the chickens disappear. I thought, well, maybe a hawk's got a chicken or something. No, something's up. So I left the truck running. I go running down there, and then Sarah came in behind me. And we're both looking around, and the horses aren't even paying attention to us, which is double trouble for me. It's like, okay, something's up. There's no noise. And we're looking around, and all of a sudden, poor Sarah lets out the shriek of an absolute heartbroken mother whose child just died. And here's Willow, our original baby goat, laying there dead in the pen, bloating up. And what had happened was, you know, there's a wire, little iron rod hay feeders that'll bolt up into the corner of a room. You put hay in it. They eat the hay coming out of the steel rods. Well, the steel rods are wedged down and narrow. And I guess her mom or her bought this thing at a second-hand store and brought it home, and we're going to put it up, and it was leaning against the wall in the pen. Didn't think anything of it. Willow had gotten her head in the hole. Somehow it fell over and wedged her neck into the bottom of the iron. She obviously fought it all. The thing almost weighed as much as her. She fought it all the way down to the back end of the pen and collapsed with the whole thing on top of her, and her head spun around, choked out, and that's what the animals were watching. And Sarah's obviously lost her shit. She goes running off to go around to get into the pen door. And this is what I don't really see. Everything's kind of foggy, but I don't remember going through the fence or over the fence. But I remember I went over the fence, obviously. And I pulled her head out of the thing, threw it off to the side, and I grabbed her body. And it's kind of weird for me because obviously I'm very familiar with death and animals, and ungulates always start to bloat up instantly when they're dead. And she was bloating right up, just like as if I was having a game animal. But I grabbed her little head and I sat her in an upright. I brought her body in an upright position over my thigh, and I got her by the muzzle, and I put her whole muzzle in my mouth, and just started blowing. And Sarah was pushing on her rib cage, and if the little thing didn't come back to life, her poor little tongue was pale. There's no blood in her head at all. Eyes were, she was open. She was dead. And so then I just started squeezing on her and slapping her in the side. She couldn't stand up, and then finally let out a ah twice, and then got her burping. She couldn't stand up for a bit, and got her burping and got all that bloat out. Thank God. did some searching online. I went and got some Pepto-Bismol and gave her a couple shots of that with a syringe. And the little sucker's up bouncing around right now like nothing happened. She was right out to lunch for basically till bedtime. I was kind of nervous to go to the goat pen this morning. Because obviously Sarah's very attached to her animals, and that wasn't good. I'm not sure what was more upsetting, seeing the goat dead or hearing that blood-curdling, heartbroken wail coming out of Sarah. Oh my God. But anyway, so that happened yesterday. What else? So our superhero First Nations ladies came over. What a great visit it was. It was too short, and they wish to remain anonymous because of other ties to other topics, which is basically nationwide. It's very impressive, and so obviously respect that. And but I threw down a recorder and this camera and hit record. I think there's like almost 3 hours of conversation to be shared, and I'm gonna have to edit that out because there's things in there talked about, spoken of, and said, and names and stuff that shouldn't be made public. So let's get some. I'm actually getting some text here. So I'll grant that, but we exchange emails. They're true friends, true bright lights, true superhumans, and hopefully they become a regular part of our lives, which I'm sure they will. And there'll be more to come from that. And what one of the ladies, our elder, knowledge-filled superhuman, she's been writing down notes from her elders to share. And her daughter's helping her out with that. And they emailed it to me last night. So what I can do right now is I'm going to share what they emailed. And this should hopefully give basically a summary of what we talked about, because we were all over the map talking. There's a lot there. I learned a lot. I hope you take a lot of especially the researchers. I hope the researchers listen to the elders, all right? If you guys want to leap ahead in leaps and bounds, you listen to the people that know. Now listen to this. I don't know what this is going to say, but here we go. This is titled Elder Teachings. Our elders believe Sasquatch is a spiritual being. They also believe that they turn into the physical being we all know as Sasquatch. Elders say they can appear and disappear at will. In spiritual form, they can pass through anything, including other beings, cedar tree, people, shadow people. Our elders teach that all living things and beings have a type of a spirit. That's the reason our people thank the Creator by doing rituals before hunting and after taking an animal down. Elders say, if you kill an animal, you have to thank it and the Creator. Elders say that if you kill an animal, you eat that animal and use every part of it. Elders say that if Sasquatch is in spiritual form, some people can sense them, smell them, or hear them. I feel that maybe that's why some people can feel themselves be breathed on or spit on their neck. We have that noted from somebody in the States sitting in a tree stand. Elders said to us when we were children to never interact with Sasquatch because they can be dangerous. Elders taught us that there are two kinds of spiritual beings and that they can react to you and your words in two different behaviors, good and bad. Elders say don't curse, defame, or lie, and don't use vicious words, or the good or bad entities will act on those words. And that's through Sasquatch too as well. Elders were always telling us, don't say that, and don't talk like that. Elders said that your words are powerful. The Creator built, created, and made everything with His words. Elders said our names are powerful. Elders said our names mean something, represent or honor something, or is a title. They said our names are sacred and true and are handed down through generations and generations, and these entities understand this. Elders said you can curse or bless with your words if you say them out loud. These beings and entities hear you. They can carry out your words in the form of actions. Elders say speaking out loud gives these entities permission to go into action, sometimes through Sasquatch. Our people have songs, dances, stories, and plays about Sasquatch, and our people have practiced them for generations, and they're passed down for generations. My elders say Sasquatch can go into or appear as anything such as animal, slash strange animal, example, wolfman, Pukmis, or alien, raven, bear, owl, or even unknown entities, through these or to spirits. Elders said that the spiritual Sasquatch were made by the Creator before He made man. They hate us and despise us because the Creator made us in His image and likeness. The Creator made the earth for us to live and use everything in the world. Elders said Sasquatch were not allowed to harm those that are His. Elders said that Sasquatch is not a monster or evil or a beast, but are the first being to be sent to live in the world. We call them the wild men of the woods. Elders said we should respect their territories and they should respect ours. If they break this law, they answer to the Creator. Elders said there are tribes of them living in the woods because they are people. Elders use stories of Sasquatch to teach children to obey their parents. When we get older, they let us know Sasquatch will never hurt you. They'll scare you if you disobey their territory boundaries. Just a thought, maybe young males are trying to establish their own territories by breaking branches, screaming, or throwing rocks. Elders taught us to close the curtains on the windows at night because the Pukmis can look in. If you see him, you could go blind, or your hair can turn white, or you could die of fright. My thought, my grandmother said to me, if the moon can look upon your face through the window, then so can man or beast. Man or beast are not as kind as the moon. Elders said that Sasquatch can give you fear by sending fear into you. We have protection from them sending fear into us. Elders consider fear a spiritual weapon. Elders believe people can use these entities to scare or hurt others as well. They can scare or will things to take place against anyone if they're not protected. You have to use your God or a Creator as protection through His sacred entities. Elders said, when you pass through Sasquatch territory or strand land or strange water, that would have been strange. Elders said, when you pass through Sasquatch territory or a strange land or strange water, you speak your intention out loud. Elders said, you have to leave a gift. We will leave berries or food. You leave something important or means something to you. They feel your intent or dedication or work that went into the gift. Elders said that the Sasquatch live better than we do. Their food, their medicine, environment, and ability to survive are far better than ours. Before contact, we lived the same as they did. That's a big one too. Before contact, we lived the same as they did. I believe we all did. Contact's a big, big moment in the world. Elders said that what Sasquatch considers sacred or important or useful to them is not at all the same as ours. A rock can be important because of how they use it or what's in it. They can see or feel things that we can't in objects. Only some very few gifted people can do this now. Elders said ravens are messengers or they'll warn us of danger. You must interpret their message. Elders say you never visit a home or another reservation without a gift. Maybe that's why we must leave a gift for Sasquatch when we pass through their territory. Elders said everything is in movement, even things that are deceased. Elders said spirits are forever. Elders said Sasquatch is more susceptible to these entities than us. My thought, I think we are just as or more susceptible than Sasquatch. It shows itself more and more in the world. Elders said, to be a doctor, you need to go into the woods, suffer until you gain a spirit entity by starving and not drinking water for 4 days. You gain power by doing this by being a spiritual doctor, a baby doctor, and a medicine doctor. Also an evil doctor, which involves witchcraft. After you receive this power or gift, you also have a new name and a new song and a power object. Sasquatches are people too. I have lots that I've not spoken to you about, and I would like to come over for another visit again soon. Thank you for your hospitality. We enjoyed ourselves immensely. It was like talking with our own people, because we talk like that all the time. Alright, there we go. That is the end of our first edition of our elder teachings, which I believe are absolutely important, vital. Especially vital to pass down to the children to help turn this shit show around that's going on right now. It'll be interesting once I do get time. I have to leave today. I gotta go. I'm gonna be with the wildlife biologist for a few days by the time you're watching this. It's gonna be interesting to hear their side. Isn't it gonna be interesting to hear their side after hearing from our First Nations words of wisdom and knowledge, and then flipping the coin to almost the polar opposite, what I would consider the polar opposite, and we're going to listen to the, not being insulting, but the government employed wildlife biologists and what they think. That's going to be very interesting to hear back to back, right? So I'll be doing that as soon as I leave here today. I still have stuff I got to do before I go, and but I'll be sure to get that done. Now, what should I do now? I almost thought that this should almost be a message in its own video all to itself, but it's kind of short, I'm guessing, and I can get a few other emails shared right now while I'm here, so maybe I'll do that. And the river is absolutely chock full of fish right now. I took a few casts last night with the fishing rod and got some insanely awesome video. And I think I'll take a few casts here today before I leave too, because the sun's now hitting the water. I think it'll make the underwater video way better. And I was excited and I'm so appreciative of my gift I received from the ladies yesterday, which was tins of freshly canned sockeye salmon. And I made sure that they left with fresh moose meat from me. Now, let's share a couple emails. But anyway, if I could say anything after what I learned yesterday and had confirmed, and many things confirmed for me yesterday, was if I could pass on to the people who are spending so much time, I don't know if obsessing is, I'm not trying to be insulting, I'm saying like a lot of people are absolutely obsessed with Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and they're researching it, and they're out there trying to pursue it. And if I could pass or stress on any knowledge or facts would be to those people listening to you guys, you must listen to the original people, the elders. You must listen if you want to learn and get better and move ahead and not stay stuck doing those same circles as so many others. You gotta listen. You have to listen. That's all I'm gonna say. You can't make people listen. You can't make a horse drink water. Lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. But I'll tell you what, right at this point of the game, from what I've been learning, you have to listen to the elders. You have to. What do we got? It's titled Sasquatch. Hello, Steve. The last weekend of June 2014, my daughter and I decided to go camping. It's been about 10 years since the last time. She's 28 and I'm, well, older. Read this. Here we go again. Alright, what's this? This is titled Important. Community 3 is the answer. Alright. Eric Roberts is the name. Hunting and fishing is my game. Family's the most important part of life. I'm sure we can all agree. This channel you built is very much larger than any one of us. Again, I'm sure you'll know this. I'm a southern boy from 30 minutes south of New Orleans, a little town called Paradise, or as we like to call it, Cajun Paradise. However, it is the sportsmanship paradise of the south, if not the country, with the hunting, fishing, trapping, trolling, crabbing, airboat, alligator tours, and crawfish ponds. There's no shortage of outdoor activities and wildlife adventures. Honor, courage, dignity, and self-reliance / motivation is strongly taught from an early age. Mr. Steve, we live in a respectable community that is still very self-sufficient and living off the land. Down here in the bayou, we have what we call the Rougarou. It's the Bigfoot of the South. I've heard him quite a few times. At least I'm starting to believe so after listening to this channel. Walking on the train tracks one day to a friend's house with swamps to my left, we had about a 2-mile little walk. And a 2-mile little walk, we take the tracks at night. The road is really dark and cars fly through all the time. It's just safer. As we're about at the halfway mark, we heard the rustling of the marsh about 30 feet from the tracks as we jumped a rabbit or a coon. We had no flashlights, so we couldn't see anything. As we started walking, the rustling started again. When we stopped, so did it. It was following us. No animal that I know to do that except maybe a dog. But as we stopped, we had a little moonlight peeking through the trees. The second our feet touched the bottom of the rocks, something let out a scream like a woman that was getting murdered and giving birth at the same time. Deep bass, but high-pitched at the same time. We stumbled over each other, falling on our butts to the rocks, got up and ran. Crazy thing is, when I got to my friend's house and told his brother cut our story off with finishing, telling us where it was. He had heard the thing. My grandmother was a healer. I remember my uncle cut his toe off in the front door. And before the ambulance guy there, a couple typos, my uncle cut his toe off in the front door. But before the ambulance guy there, my grandmother had the bleeding stopped by just a prayer. Grandmother from my mother's side used to heal boils. People would come over from all over to get prayer in Cajun French, and after a few treatments they would be healed and or rid of their boils with just a power of prayer. A cousin told me long ago, listen to our elders, they're wise. They live their life and they're not going to give you any advice that's going to hurt you. Another thing that we all need to be aware of is divide and conquer is one of the oldest war strategies known to man, and they have been dividing us since the beginning of time. I've been down this truth-seeking and knowledge-hungry rabbit hole for about 10 years, trying to spread the truth and gain the wisdom of our elders. In this time, I've come to learn a few things. The world needed a way to be brought together by one global connection that is for the people, by the people, and you have given that to us, sir. Now it is up to us to utilize this tool and to take it to the next step, which is more than just the Sabe people. It might take a little more work, but I believe if we include aliens, other cryptid UFOs, dinosaurs, ghosts, and any other encounters that the people may have, I know the government is trying their hardest to stop us all from coming together, but they're not looking at a Bigfoot channel. They're looking at a freedom fighter or an Joe Biden channel. And if not, that's fine, Steve. I love what you're doing, man. You're giving the world a voice and a way to express themselves in a way that no one's given them before. The world needs this in a time where hope ended too soon, I think. Eric, appreciate you, man. You're a wise man, and it's a coincidence. It's a coincidence you mentioned to listen to our elders right after what I just shared before I read this one. It's true. You gotta listen to our elders, and it's double true. The government and the dirty, filthy animals that need and feed off of our power in our lives, they need to be stopped. And the only way to stop them is if we continue to we focus on the people, keep it about the people, for the people. That's it. It's a simple recipe, right? It's just making sure we utilize it and stay the course. But Eric, if you got more you want to share, man, share away. I think you ended your email too short there, but I'm pretty sure we have the message that you wanted to share. And it's a good one, man. Appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate it. Oh, there we go. All right, here's one more. I'm going to make this, well, it's a long one, but I'm going to do it. I don't know what it's about, but the title's got me. Another First Nations puzzle piece for you. Here we go. Continued from last. some Sabbath stories. Hope you're well. Hope you caught the last email about little people and cannibal giants. The 2018 fires in BC, there was an evacuation order. I didn't evacuate. One night after hanging with my cousins, I decided to ride my quad out to the back roads at 5 a.m. to check on the homestead that is out in the forest away from the main res. I had the quad pinned and I was doing about 60k. There was smoke everywhere and visibility was very little. A rock flew from quite far off to the right and struck me in the helmet. I saw it in my peripheral and turned my head. It was a small rock and was not flung very hard. It was thrown with extreme accuracy, if you consider the speed I was doing. I'm sure it would have hit me square in the face if it wanted to. After the 2018 fires in BC, they finally lifted the evacuation order. I took a walk with a friend of mine. We were beside a forest lake and just sitting, talking, when she asked me, "Who is that person over there?" I looked over, and we both saw a human figure standing about 200 yards down the beach, just standing there looking at us. The figure was gray from head to toe with a beige face. It appeared as a man dressed in overalls with a hood pulled up as well, swayed side to side from the hips. There was a well located just behind him, and that was at level of about his ribs. His build was not bulky, but tall and lean like a basketball player's physique. I stood up and yelled, "Hey!" And then I whistled, loud with 2 fingers in my mouth, and waved at him. He just stood, swaying. I continued to stare, then slowly sauntered off into the woodline. I told my friend, "Let's go look." So we walked up from the water onto the hillside, started following the field path to the other side of the bay. There was a horse in the field, and he was bucking and snorting and looking down there toward the side of the beach where we were headed to. The horse got between us and the area. I ignored it, and we continued on down there. There were 2 horses down at that location, and they were just chilling and eating grass. They were not bothered at all. We could not see tracks as there were too many beach rocks, but the grass growing in between was sticking up, and you could see where it was patted down. I stood in the spot located just in front of the well, and that is when I realized the well that reached his ribs was way over my head from where I was standing in the same spot, and I'm 6 foot. That made him about 9 feet tall. Big, gray 9-footer. I looked all over, but there was nothing or no one anywhere. I know I saw it because my friend was with me the entire time. I feel like they probably don't like fire and were driven out of their regular area. My sister once was out in the back roads with a former man, and they had children with them. The road was washed out ahead of them. It was early spring, and there was snow and soft mud on the ground. They got out of the car and looked around in the ditch for something like maybe some boards or planks that might be around to perhaps help span the washout so they could drive across. My sister told me in retrospect that that was a stupid idea, that she was just going along with what her former guy was doing. They wandered away from the car and moved closer to the washout searching for materials. She told me that was when they both got the weird feeling and everything was quiet. They got freaked out and decided to leave. They walked briskly back to the car where the children were. Lo and behold, there were tracks all around the car where there had been none moments before. Big tracks, little baby tracks too. They were pretty spooked and blazed out of there. One more. I have a ton actually, but this one is from my other sister. One morning, her husband woke her up. He was new to the res. He yelled for her, exclaiming, "There are 2 huge people down by the river." She told me she knew right away, her intuition. She replied, "Those aren't people." She ran out and saw them too. There were 2 figures walking. Again, it was spring with a bit of snow and mud. She ran outside and yelled, "Who's down there?" No answer. I asked her when she was relaying the story to me, "Okay, then what happened?" "Okay, then what happened?" She said, "They just walked to the side and disappeared." I said to her, "Like disappeared behind the tree line?" She said, "No, they disappeared into thin air." She went down to the river to look for tracks, but there was none. Oddly, because the spring snow was soft and melting and tracks would easily be left behind, but there were none. Okay, one more of my own. One night I was in bed with my ex-girlfriend and just falling asleep. We both heard a huge noise. What sounded like a humongous fist bump. The fist bumped the wall 3 times. It had the sound to me like someone hitting a very large, meaty object, like a Christmas ham against the wall. I froze in fear. It was the first time it ever gave me the fear. I didn't even want to breathe as I listened. You could hear gigantic footfalls akin to the Jurassic Park on the other side of the log wall. Also, I could hear it whining and grumbling in a very strange way. I did what I automatically do when I get that level of terror, which is call on Jesus Christ. That worked, and it was instantly gone. I strangely fell right to sleep. The next day I went to look to see if there was any tracks. It was springtime and muddy, no snow. The ground was soft, no tracks at all, not even a hint. Very odd for how huge the thing sounded. It is a strange feeling to hear something gigantic walking bipedally, just on the other side of a log wall. It makes you feel very small and vulnerable. Not a usual feeling for a grown man to have. By the way, Steve, I'm a tech geek and do film editing, sound engineering, and online stream communications for the res. I've employed doing this stuff for the last 2 years during the lockdown. If you ever need any help, I could probably help. God bless you all, especially you, Steve. Big love from North BC and all my relations. DJ Frog Clan Dekel. Sweet. Appreciate that email. There's another one attached to it. A huge one. Alright, I don't have time to read that one, man, but I'm going to. Alright, so I will not mark this as read. I'll title this as 2 emails in caps lock. 2 emails. Read second one. Alright. I'll be sure to read the second email that's attached to this. This must have been the first one you sent me, and I'll read that the next time I get a few minutes to do this, alright? That's the fish jumping here. The sun's coming up. I managed to get, I think, 15 fence posts in the other day, and they got way too hot. And maybe I'm going to go home and attempt to get a few of those done, get some more things done around the house for Sarah, and then I have to get all my gear ready and prepped to head back out to the boat later today and get it all ready for those biologists tomorrow. And then I'll be sure to videotape those guys tomorrow as well, including the logger, and get more knowledge shared. And I will not be able to edit up our 3-hour conversation we had yesterday until later. And there's some very, very, very important messages in there for all of you. Now, I am going to, one note, you know, the lady showed me some photographs of her house, a remote, very remote, boat accessible house only, where she grew up in her native community, and she showed me the height of the window on the front and the back of her house where these beings have stood and looked into the house at her. These things can be so big. It's so weird why that photograph really struck me yesterday. I guess probably because after speaking to the ladies and creating that instant connection, and then hearing their experiences and what they've seen and heard, and then showing me the photograph of the house and her standing there looking up at the bathroom window was one of the times one of these beings stood there looking in the window at her, and it was over twice the height of her outside the house. It's incredible. It's incredible. The stories are incredible. Our reality is absolutely incredible. And anyways, I'll shut up. I could babble on forever, obviously. But I'm going to take a few casts with this rod real quick, and I'll show you what's flopping around behind me. And then I will try to be back as soon as I can with more knowledge. And if any of you out there have any knowledge or something that's going to help the people, make sure you get it into me, all right? And I'll get to it.